look like at 120 frames per second? So guys, the other day, my beautiful wife wanted to make an iced coffee. Definitely something we do quite a bit of around here, but she went through the whole process of hand whipping the cream to make like the sweet cream, and she was gonna pour it into her, iced coffee. And I thought, you know what, I've seen you do this before and it looks really cool. So with that in mind, I ran her into the office, got her behind the black backdrop, flashed a couple of lights really quick on each side, flipped the camera into shutter priority mode, cranked that thing up to like, I think 1,000th or something really fast. Basically just told her to start pouring, and I started spraying and praying. And for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram yet, idiots. But anyway, I posted this photo, and I loved how it turned out. Did not expect much from it, and to be honest with you, I was completely and pleasantly surprised because, damn, I love that photo. But, you guys know me. You know me, and that certainly was not good enough. And I got to thinking, I've been trying to keep testing the Sony, this new camera that we bought recently, and I was like, how on earth would that look in 120 frames per second? And then of course, I got the gears turning. So although the initial idea was somewhat humble in its beginnings, let's just film 120 frames per second with the A7 III, then I of course got to thinking, and in times like these, if I'm going to make a cup of coffee and I want to squeeze some footage out of it, I better use as many cameras as possible to get as many angles and try to make the most out of one single coffee pour. So along with the Sony, I decided to grab the GH5S. So guys, one of the main reasons that I am so gravitated to add this camera into the fray of tonight's attempted coffee pour shot is this bad boy can go all the way up to 240 frames per second in full HD. Now I will be honest with you guys, coming out of this camera, the 240 frames per second is pretty gnarly, but I think if we strap the Sigma on there, which will get it down to a 1:2 equivalent, flash in lots of light on this particular cup of coffee, I think we're gonna get just about the best image possible from this 240 frames per second. It'll be soft, it'll be kind of gross, but the speed is gonna look sick. So we got the GH5S, we got the Sony. Now I'm sitting here wondering, I don't know if I want to mess with a photo camera per se with this particular shoot, because I want to be able to hit record on all of the cameras and then pour it myself again, trying to do all of this by myself. You know what? That might just work. And now this is where the idea got really interesting, because I'm doing all the filming and the pouring completely by myself. Again, I want as many angles as possible, but I want another photo for Instagram. We've got the Sony and the Panasonic crushing it on the video side. So then I had this idea, and that is, what if we took the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, a camera that shoots raw video, and use that as sort of our makeshift third video angle, but then also got a little bit creative with the super high quality raw codec and extracted stills to get our pictures. Now, I think this is gonna work, but the one thing that I think I'm going to have to fix is shutter speed. Hold on to your butts, guys, it's time for some math. So here's the deal. Unlike usual, we want to reduce motion blur in each frame. Therefore, we need to increase our shutter speed, which by definition is the speed in which the shutter closes to let a certain amount of light to the sensor. Typically for smooth motion blur, we follow the 180-degree rule, which puts your shutter speed at double your frame rate. If we take the 180 degrees out of 360, use the reciprocal, we can see that we get a factor of 2 times for the shutter speed. Therefore, the smaller we get our denominator, the faster our multiplier. Quick look at the Pocket 4K, and we can go down to 11.2 degrees, making our shutter multiplier 360 divided by 11.2, which is 32.14. And then of course we can take that, multiply that by our frame rate of 60 frames per second in this instance, and we get 1928.57, which in theory should be a fast enough shutter speed to freeze every frame of action with no motion blur for every single frame of the 60 frames per second. Not that that wasn't fun at all, because it was, but let's dumb it down. Super high quality codec, raw, Blackmagic, crank that shutter speed, every single frame of the video should have no motion, and therefore I should have my run of the litter to pull a still image from, as well as having another video angle that we could slap some motion blur on, and it might actually look pretty good. Now it's time to make our set. Alright, kind of our practice take, but again, trying to make it count. I'm trying to pour the ice cubes, or maybe I'll just dump like 3 of them into here. See how this goes. Time for the cream. I think we nailed it. This is definitely where I want to be right now, but you know, we're making the most of this. But anyway, guys, just back here to wrap this video up and kind of give you some final thoughts on this video. I had a ton of fun with this one, guys. There's definitely going to be more videos up this thread. How can we make cool product videos? How can we make kind of more upscale techniques, maybe at home while we're stuck in quarantine, and really just into the future? Again, that's kind of what I thought maybe I'd be doing a lot more of when I initially started this channel, and I just had so much fun with this video. The edit took forever, you know, it was like a whole week worth of work. So I'm really excited to do this. Obviously, there's still going to be all the normal content, but the whole creativity from Constraint is coming back in full force, and I am loving it. So real quick, there's some things that I definitely want to improve. Maybe I'll make it a separate video. The positioning of the glass, the angles of the cameras, some of them I really hated, and in some ways I didn't get enough shots. So I actually redid a couple of extra shots on the following day. It may have been obvious because you could see kind of the desk. It looked like a completely different shot than the main shot in that edit. And that was just because I felt like I needed more. Oh, that battery just ran out. But of course, because I didn't want to be wasteful, I did it on a different day when I made another iced coffee, because again, we drink lots of coffee, and I feel like that is going to be kind of a good prop for these kind of shoots, just because, you know, that's something I drink every day so I can take advantage of. But the only other thing that I would call out, and it might be the topic of the next, you know, CFC video, is just that the whole thing did not feel very dynamic. And although I did a little bit of digital, you know, punching and pulling, because almost every single one of the cameras was shooting in full HD, it's hard to justify that push and pull too much, because it becomes really obvious. 4K, you can get away with a lot on YouTube, but when you're shooting at 1080, you can't punch and do as much digital stuff. You definitely can, but it's a little easier to spot as a viewer. So I try to avoid that, and a lot of digital stuff just doesn't look super good. But it is a technique, but I think it would be something cool to in the future, try to get it more dynamic. So anyway, more of this to come. But with that being said, guys, that is all I have for you today. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy. My best wishes sent out to all of you guys. You know, try some of these techniques for yourself. I'm gonna keep kind of getting creative and trying to do it more and more because we're stuck at home. But anyway, peace out. You guys have a good one, and don't forget, as always, that creativity comes from constraint, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you guys.